on something you just talked about. You're talking about Atlantis, and you're talking about how these people had what we would call today maybe superpowers, or maybe they were a bit more enlightened on how to use your brain. Let's just say every human on the planet has, because we're all connected, we can feel energy. It's definitely a thing. It is. It's
We're
thousand.
all we're all pieces of consciousness, and eventually we all go, back to the same
Right.
place.
But to what you said, like Atlantis, let's just say people had superpowers, what have you. They could communicate telepathically. Maybe they can move shit with their mind, whatever you want to call it. But
Right.
we're all connected in energy. Let me put it to something anybody can easily relate to. You get that one buzzkill person. They walk in the room, they change the whole energy, they throw everything off. Everybody's got one person like that. Okay. That's energy that's shared. Everybody feels off because this person is whatever. Just an example. Everybody knows a buzzkill. Okay. But let's just say the Atlantis example. Well, over time, the planet changed, Atlantis sunk. And I believe that. There could have been an earthquake, volcano, whatever, the ocean rise. It's gone. It's not there anymore.
Well, supposedly they sunk themselves by whatever they were doing because they used whatever they learned positively. They started to use against each other. So it was like another form of selfishness and greed. It just didn't have to do with money.
That's just human behavior. But anyway, what I was getting at is now that civilization is lost, now that education is lost, that knowledge is lost of how to tap into that, to do whatever, communicate telepathically. So if you lose the knowledge of how to tap into that, and there's no elders to teach you that, well, now it's lost. And then you go generation after generation, and then you get social programming. That's not the norm. My parents didn't teach me that. My grandparents didn't teach me how to tap into that. I wasn't shown how to do it, so you forget. You don't know how to, and generation after generation. And now the norm, the social programming is, well, that's not normal. We're at Halloween right now, right?
Yeah.
I'm in Massachusetts, the Salem witch trials. Oh, this person is deeply spiritual. She's a witch. Let's burn her and kill her. Well, you're killing off all the people that can tap into a spiritual connection or have a gift like you do. You just killing those people because they're different. So now there's none of them to teach somebody else.
I feel like I lived through those and was definitely burned.
I would believe it, dude. You definitely have a gift. It sucks you can't use it on yourself, but you definitely have one. But
I can get into a good spot, but it's time and energy to like get it's the enlightenment. It's just, and you got to stay there and not get affected. And like you're driving, we're living, we're parenting, we're cooking. There's a lot of stuff going on. If I was in like somewhere hiding away from everyone, I'm sure I would stay there. And
I think if we're still friends when we're like older, like 10, 15 years from now, and kids are in college and doing their own thing, we don't like you and I, or like if we have partners at that time, like we have to like plan out like a 6 month, like away from the world retreat, like a silence, like you know how like the monks go on these 4 and 6 or a year-long retreat, like they're at a monastery somewhere, but they're like isolated from the outside world. No phones, no nothing. We got to do one of those someday in the future. Like,
as long as we can drink and smoke pot.
I mean, I'm on the same page with that, but I don't know if that would be as effective. But maybe I don't see why not. Maybe not drinking. Maybe like smoking pot or like hallucinogenics. But like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
pot, ayahuasca, like something where we like it levels up, and you're into like a higher level of consciousness. Because when I smoke pot, my intuition is like way more vibrant.
I will say this: have you ever smoked pot and done your meditations?
Yes.
Yeah, they're a lot more intense if I smoke and then do it. They're way more. So, have
And
you ever tried? Was that?
and if I'm struggling, and I'll share this because it might help. If I'm struggling with any kind of fear or anxiety or worry, when I smoke, it will help me kind of like get rid of that energy quicker. Where like was meditating normally, for me anyway, I can kind of like shed stuff easier, clear off my energy, that type of thing.
So the ayahuasca thing, and like I would say, and that's like a religious thing for some people in like, South America and stuff like that. Because you boil it down from I don't know if it's tree or plant, but
It,
anyways,
yeah,
yeah,
it's plant medicine too. It's just a different, it's
yeah.
a hallucinogenic versus the weed is, you
No, I
know,
was going with the hallucinogenics. So a good friend of mine, he's been I haven't tried it, and it is a very short and very intense hallucinogen. It's called DMT. You ever heard of DMT? It's a very, very intense hallucinogenic. I've never tried it, but you can like smoke it like with a vape pen or whatever. But it lasts. I haven't tried it, but he told me like 5 to 10 minutes. But how he describes it and how I've heard it described as it is, he's like, you can see Mayan gods, you can see other beings, and it's supposedly like a very intense hallucinogenic that can help your mind get to a level of, you can maybe see across dimensions. I mean, he says the visuals are intense, but I've
like
heard
time.
I've heard it described as you can see beings that are on a different dimensional plane and they communicate with people. I don't know. It sounds crazy. I've taken acid hallucinogenics in college. I haven't tried this
It's
one.
not that crazy because if you Google like Dolores Cannon or if you watch Bashar, he they they go into a different state and they're what's it called? They're channeling a different being and giving this like information through them as like a channel. So it's really not that crazy. I've actually heard of it a lot.
I don't think that's what it is. I think it's, I mean, this is my personal opinion. And yes, I agree with what you're saying, but what I think it is, there's different timelines, like string theory, different dimensions all running in parallel, or a million different realities that are all running at the same time.
Yeah.
And if you do something like that, what you spoke to earlier was tapping into the other 90% of your brain. When you take that drug or hallucinogenic, what it unlocks for a short period of time is a pathway where you can connect to that reality or connect to that timeline or connect or interact with a different, whatever you want to call it. And you can get messages or you can see for that short period of time. Can you train your brain to do it? Very possibly. But if that knowledge is lost, how the fuck would we know how to do it? Or if there was a technology that you needed to utilize to get you there that's been lost over time, get there.
Well, we could create a way for people to get there if we could figure out how to get there and we have a map like anything else. We could
Right.
and we
Or if you
that.
have a timeless message that's passed on through religions and Bibles and everything else of, you can create your own reality. Now you can kind of connect some dots, right? It sounds crazy on some level, but
This is all good and we have to like develop on this more when we have more time. We have to totally do like another one on this too.
all right, well, I'll call Dave. I'll get his DMT pen and I'll take a couple of hits and let you know who I fucking meet up with.
We'll journey together and we'll like go on like some weird path on some drugs.
Oh, no, I definitely want to do the ayahuasca one sometime. Definitely. There's places I think you can do it around here. I know there's places like it's allowed if it's a religious practice. I don't know.
Yeah, I went to like shaman workshops that they come from Peru and they all did it. I just at the time I was like pregnant, so I didn't like participate, but everyone
Yeah, no, obviously.
but when you're in like the group I don't know, like the intuition, everything, because when you're in a group, it's that group consciousness again. And I also wrote down I wanted to do it on this too, group consciousness, telepathy. When we're in a group and we're all like up on this like higher level or whatever, like everyone kind of comes up to the same level of consciousness. And so the more positive that we do, the more authenticity that we stay in, we're like affecting people around us. It's important that we have an awareness that we're all affecting, energies around us. So we all should be responsible about how we treat ourselves, how we treat each other.
Mm-hmm.
And, just to keep working to like stay positive and peaceful and kind to each other.
I don't mean to like keep bringing it to drugs, but another one would be like, so when they first, no, some, I mean, like on a, you know, factual level, when they first created ecstasy or MDMA, they
Mm,
were using it. There was a doctor, I can't remember the guy's name, it was in like the 70s and 80s, I think around then. I don't know exactly when they created it, but this doctor was experimenting with it on patients. So he's a therapist, I believe. And he ended up getting this cult following because he would get a, you know, a group of his patients or whatever, and they would tell friends and they dose them with MDMA or ecstasy, what have you, and they get into this energy of your
love.
ego's gone,
Mhm.
love, caring, like you were just talking about a second ago, like being nice and not being an asshole and getting out of your ego. But when you get a big group of people that are all there and ego's gone, hate's gone, and you're just in the energy of unconditional love, forget about the fact that it's drug induced, but you break down all those barriers and you could get a group of 20 strangers that'll share with each other, connect with each other, and everybody's in that energy. Yeah, okay, they had to take a drug and be like, oh, they were just on drugs. Okay, that's fair. But you also unlock something in the brain on an unconscious level that now
That no,
you can connect with all of these people because you're already all connected. And maybe they'll share something with you and you can feel that for them, or you can feel that whatever they're sharing with you. And it's crazy. And then even like, forget about the drug thing. We're talking about, it's very popular on YouTube. When Dr. Joe, and he does group meditations, and you got, you know, hundreds of people doing group meditations, trying to do energy healing on people and actually healing people. And, you know, you got a couple hundred people meditating and sending energy to some person, and you like heal this person over time or whatever. And he was describing like how emotional it is to like, you're in a group of people trying to help someone, and then you actually help the person and they get better and they heal, and you're like, you know, I don't know, it'd be like
all right. So
big
I want to,
energetic thing.
the ecstasy thing I experimented with, ironically, at University of Tampa. Um, you know, spring break, Miami.
Fantasy Ranch, woohoo.
So it was a whole group of us.
Did you ever go to Fantasy Ranch?
No, we went to Miami and a whole group of us took ecstasy, and we all were in this like state of like love or above.
Mhm.
Remember being like super uncomfortable because I wanted to like be near people and I didn't want to be alone and I wanted to be connected, and it was like super like weird and spiritual, but yet like uncomfortable because I was like high on something. Anyway, so it was just interesting that you brought it up since we both went to
Yeah,
Tampa.
you gotta have somebody there to walk you through. I'm like, you know what? It's funny you say that. So I mean, that was my
And my phone's gonna die soon, so we have to like wrap it up.
yeah, that was like I want to get into it, but it was a regular thing. There's an after hours place you could go in Tampa, and like everybody would do that back in the day when it was first coming out or like going mainstream. And yeah, it was crazy. But you get a nightclub full of people that nobody's drinking. They didn't serve alcohol. All you could buy is water or Gatorade, and just a bunch of people hanging out, and you could just literally situations with different friends and even people that I met. You just walk by a complete stranger, and then the next thing you know, you're attached at the hip and you're best friends for the whole night. And then I know people that have made like best friends that have 20 years like that. But
Yeah.
if you take that drug out of the equation, would you ever met that person? So is it that bad? I mean, yeah, it drills holes in your brain if you do it all day every day like anything else. But
No, I only did it once, but it was an interesting experience. I don't know.
yeah, I also